So I'd like to talk more about the RTR, and I think if you watch my videos, you'll know I'm pretty positive about the RTR. There are some changes, though, in the RTR, and there are always some things that you wish maybe they could do a little better. I'm wondering, 9 years ago when they had the first RTR, how many people were sitting around the fire thinking there would be a no this, no that, employees only, staff only. All the new regulations that have come are very off-putting for people who are trying to avoid exactly that. We're trying to avoid the regulations, and we come to this place and they're splattered everywhere. Most people don't know, but there are security guards now on stage. On each side of the stage, somebody gave up their whole vacation, ex-police officers, so they could guard Bob and the rest. Well, I've never seen the crowds get so out of hand that you really needed security guards to guard the stage. Maybe in a bigger event you will, but it's kind of sad to me that they felt that this time has come. Another big issue for me is the women's portion. I'm all in favor of supporting women, and I think a women's RTR makes a lot of sense, but that's not what we have today. In the old days, we had the 14-day RTR, and then at the end of that, there was a women's RTR. Now they don't do it that way. What they did is they shortened the men's RTR, and they put the women's RTR on the front of the event instead of the back. So the women show up early, they choose all the best parking spots, and then they exclude men. Well, I didn't know that this was all about exclusion. I thought the Rubber Tramp Rendezvous was about inclusion. And when you say no men, you're really saying no to half the population. So after excluding men at the women's RTR, they put additional exclusion times during the regular RTR. So there are 2 days, 2 seminars in which men can't go. Now that just doesn't make sense. And honestly, I don't think that's how we solve the problems. I don't think getting around and bitching about men is a way to solve a problem, a woman's problem. Really, you're going to have to learn how to live in a world with men, and men have to learn to live in a world with women. We have to learn how to develop mutual respect. And so, while I don't object to a private thing, maybe held at a different time and a different place, I really do object to having another day to spend for women when you leave the men doing nothing. What do we do? I think the best solution, instead of eliminating men from your world or eliminating women from your world, why don't we try to choose the men that we have in our world or the women that we have in our world, and let's try to be more inclusive. This exclusiveness really is disturbing to me. Another of my pet peeves is some of the horrible advice that's being given at the RTR. Yesterday, there was a guy who got up and was talking about how he had forged lease documents, then taken them to the state he was in to get a resident ID, not a driver's license, so that he can get a lower-priced fishing license and free parks passes. So the guy ended up with multiple state IDs from various states, getting all these free or reduced cost things. It didn't bother me that he made the statement. What bothered me is somebody didn't stand up and say, "Wait, that's potentially a felony." If it's not a felony, it's certainly a misdemeanor. You can't produce false documents to get documents from a state or to get a resident ID card. That's not how it's supposed to work. The system that's being explained to us by Bob is legitimate. You really do rent a place in an RV park. You really do have a residence for at least a month. You take that and you get your things done. But nothing in the suggested way that we get licenses is there a suggestion that we create a false document and that we commit fraud in order to get reduced fishing licenses and free parks passes. Nothing. I've never heard it on the Cheap RV Living site or from Bob. This guy is so stupid, he doesn't even know what he's doing is a crime, as he says it in front of a group of 1,500 to 2,000 people. That kind of advice is not the advice I want to hear, and I'm surprised the Cheap RV Living people don't make a real big deal out of saying, you can do this any way you want to do it, but we certainly don't advocate that you commit fraud in order to get your license or to get a reduced fee or in any of your activities. We have to do this legally, guys. So in short, well, I think this has been the best organized event that I've ever seen as far as a Rubber Tramp Rendezvous. I think they went overboard on regulations. I think they're a little exclusive when they're excluding half the population. I think they've forgotten that there are some pretty traumatized men out there too. I spoke to a few. And while I think crowd participation is really wonderful and there are some great ideas, I think staff needs to be especially on alert for people who come up with wild schemes to cheat the government that may not be entirely legal. And those need to be sounded out. Those need to be shouted out. Listen, everybody's here free to do as you wish to do, but we certainly don't advocate illegal activities, and a false lease would be an illegal activity. My remarks today are not intended to be critical of anyone or to cut anyone. I only want to see the RTR grow and to get better. And if you find the remarks useful, great. If you don't, I accept that too. I'd like to hear what your thoughts are. I know there are other people out there who must be having some of the same thoughts I do or similar thoughts, and I'd love to hear what they are. Well, this is Tim Painter at the RTR. I'm wishing you all the best of luck. If you like what you see, please subscribe. Pass it along. Make a comment. Participate. Be part of it.